看一个县城网友分享的，他们单位发不出工资了。
I saw someone share that their workplace couldn't pay salaries anymore. So what did the leaders do? They took everyone to the bank to get a loan, then used the loan money to pay our salaries. I was stunned. After finally passing the civil service exam, I never expected something like this. Borrowing money just to pay myself. When I got the salary, my feelings were really complicated. I didn't know whether I should cry or laugh.
A Chengdu-based influencer said civil servants, who were long considered those with iron rice bowls in China, have to borrow money to pay salaries. This absurd scene is only the tip of the iceberg, reflecting China's current reality. In today's China, stable jobs like civil servants and teachers are now facing an unprecedented wave of delayed or unpaid wages. More and more public sector workers face unpaid wages, cut subsidies, and disappearing performance bonuses. Their lives are becoming increasingly difficult. This is not just a local issue, but a nationwide chain reaction due to fiscal pressure. It used to be that once you entered the system, you were secure, but this belief is now being shattered by reality.
Right now, I'd say the people having the hardest time in Zhenzhou are those of us working in government units here. Many places can't even pay salaries anymore. For those that can, most have started cutting pay or reducing benefits. On top of that, the system is beginning to lay people off. If it weren't so hard to find jobs, many of us would have already started to push back. Not only is the work stressful, but there are also so many strict rules. A client once told me that colleagues have to be very careful with what they say. Even on social media, no one dares to post freely. Work is dull and boring. Meetings every day, and when problems come up, everyone just passes the buck.
According to Radio Free Asia, on May 9th, multiple districts in Zhengzhou have reported cases of teachers and civil servants experiencing delayed wages. Performance bonuses and allowances have been cancelled, and basic monthly salaries have dropped from around 5,000 yuan to around 3,000 yuan. It's even more severe in Fangchenggang, Guangxi province. On May 9th, a teacher posted on social media that their December 2024 performance bonus was never paid, and basic wages have been delayed for 7 months. Despite repeated complaints to the school and supervisors, there's no clear response. Everyone has had to rely on loans and side jobs to barely get by. A commenter lamented, "After teaching for so many years, I never imagined I would worry about getting paid." Another public sector worker in Guangxi wrote that their city has not paid any performance bonuses for 4 consecutive months. Basic wages barely hold, but performance pay has disappeared. This complaint sparked widespread discussion among public sector employees across China. Civil servants and public employees from Hunan, Henan, Guizhou, and Gansu commented, "Same here, no updates for 3 months." One blunt comment pointed out, "It's not about having a position, but about whether there is funding." On May 13th, a public sector employee in Guilin, Guangxi, posted on social media, harshly criticizing the long-term delay in performance bonuses for local public institutions. For city-level public staff, performance pay was only issued up to the first half of 2023, with no payments afterward. This complaint quickly attracted widespread attention. Public sector employees in Guilin commented, "We're all the same. It's been dragged on forever." No year-end bonuses or performance pay at all. Some even joked the iron rice bowl is starting to rust. Insiders revealed that Guilin's fiscal situation has been under obvious pressure in recent years. Local revenue growth is weak, and with a sharp drop in land transfer fees and unchanged fixed expenditures, various subsidies, including performance pay, are frequently delayed. Frontline workers said, "This not only affects our lives, but severely dampens our motivation." Experts point out that the lack of performance pay under fiscal tightening has become a widespread problem for local governments in China. If unresolved long-term, it may trigger larger unrest and a crisis of trust. Many places have implemented tight budget policies for years with little success. Fiscal difficulties have only worsened. Commentators said, "The public sector isn't unstable, it's stably out of money." This phenomenon has led many young public employees to rethink the meaning of the so-called iron rice bowl. A blogger posted a video saying that there's now a crying poor trend within China's public sector. For the past 2 years, I don't know what's going on, but among my friends working in the public sector, 8 out of 10 are crying about debts. Isn't the iron rice supposed to be very stable? With social insurance and housing funds paid, the salary may not be very high, but with car allowances, housing subsidies, and all sorts of extras, the take-home pay shouldn't be that bad. Even if you have a mortgage, using the housing fund to pay monthly installments should be enough. So how come they're all drowning in debt? A netizen from Hubei said many of his friends in public institutions have recently been crying about their financial situation, but he believes they're not completely broke. The gap compared to before is just too large. He mentioned his father, a teacher from a small county town in Yunnan. From 2016 to 2018, with salary and various subsidies, he could earn 10,000 to 20,000 yuan per month and lived quite well. But after the CCP launched poverty alleviation efforts at the end of 2018, local governments ran out of money. Subsidies became irregular, and now monthly pay is only around 8,000 to 9,000 yuan. According to Radio Free Asia, similar situations have emerged not only in Yunnan, but also in Shandong. Local resident Li Xia said that not only teachers, but even civil servants have been affected by wage delays. She said township civil servant salaries dropped from 5,000 yuan to 4,000 and even 3,000 yuan, with delays of 10 to 15 days being common. Zhang Cheng, working in construction in Dongguan, Guangdong, also said salary cuts are happening nationwide, with annual pay dropping by tens of thousands of yuan. Reports show that in 2024, 11 provinces have started cutting civil servants' pay or suspending performance bonuses. Liuzhou, Guangxi, cut wages by 15%. Yan'an, Shanxi, suspended performance bonuses entirely, and township civil servants in Fuyang, Anhui, received only basic wages for 3 consecutive months, with take-home pay as low as 2,100 yuan. A netizen exposed that grassroots units in Jiangdu district, Yangzhou, had not paid full wages for several months. Some township civil servants and staff fell into financial hardship. One low-level worker said helplessly, "Not only are performance bonuses gone, but even basic wages are delayed. We live month to month by borrowing money." Another netizen lamented, "I studied for the civil service exam for 3 years, only to find out I'm a day laborer for the country. I work from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., earning 3,000 yuan salary, but I bear local debt of 10 million yuan. Locals confirmed that some units sent notifications that, due to financial strain, salary payments are temporarily suspended. These notices lacked a clear timeline for back pay. Insiders revealed that local fiscal pressure from factors such as sharp decreases in land transfer fees make it difficult for some districts and counties to maintain normal financial operations. Wage arrears affect more than civil servants and teachers. Hospitals and enterprises are also struggling. A blogger in Sichuan said she could no longer persist in the medical field, despite having endured the pandemic.
我是一名从事了4年的小护士。
She said, "I've been a junior nurse for 4 years. I witnessed the hospital's ups and downs. When I joined, it was the height of the pandemic. I went out to support testing, doing nucleic acid tests without compensation. It was purely volunteer work. Although tiring, I felt if the country needs you, you should step up. But after the pandemic ended, by late 2024, the hospital declined. They started delaying wages and even social insurance payments. We thought the hospital had difficulties and waited, expecting things to gradually improve. But it only got worse. Salaries haven't been paid for 7 to 8 months, not even a living allowance. Now we work in debt. Social insurance hadn't been paid for a year. Eventually, we had to fight for our wages." The blogger said she worked hard to obtain her nursing certificates, but she still couldn't avoid the impact of the overall environment. She has made countless trips to government departments but only received soothing words. Complaints offices have no real solutions. Arbitration processes take 3 months to start. She lamented that it's extremely difficult for ordinary people to recover their wages, and now many rely on side jobs to survive. Many colleagues are worse off, and some cannot endure any longer. According to a January 2025 survey by Cai Xin, public hospitals in 18 provinces across China have experienced cuts, delays, or cancellations of performance pay for medical staff. Many doctors report on Zhihu that their bonuses were cut in half, leading many nurses to resign en masse. On social media, some doctors report sharp salary reductions. A police officer said his monthly pay is only 3,700 yuan, even having to pay for gas for his patrol vehicle out of pocket. In April 2025, rumors of layoffs at 2 top-tier hospitals in Shanghai circulated widely online. On April 13th, a netizen posted on Weibo that 2 top-level Shanghai hospitals plan to lay off 30% of its staff. Insiders say Shanghai 10th People's Hospital and Tongji Hospital have started layoffs. Administrative and logistical positions are cut first. Contracts for admin staff are not renewed, and some employees faced pay cuts. Reports say that some hospital administrators who previously earned tens of thousands monthly have been reassigned to work as patient guides with salaries cut from 20,000 to 8,000 yuan. The publicity department staff was cut from 8 to 3 people. Remaining staff have to write materials and assist outpatient clinics, requiring higher efficiency. Hospitals cut 30% of logistics staff. Even the hospital director's secretary was reassigned to patient guiding duties. Medical staff privately complain that administrative and logistics employees sit in offices all day but earn higher salaries than surgeons. So where does this wave of wage arrears originate? Some analysts say the root cause lies in the collapse of land-based fiscal revenue. Jia Lingming, a retired teacher from Henan, told Radio Free Asia that this phenomenon is related to the increasing strain on local government finances. She noted that since last year, many civil servants have complained about receiving only basic salaries, with all subsidies cancelled. Now, take-home pay is just 2,000 to 3,000 yuan. She explained that local governments fall into fiscal distress largely because land transfer revenues have plummeted, combined with a continued slump in the real estate market, which has long relied on selling land, has fallen into crisis. According to data from the China Index Academy, land transfer revenue in China fell by 14.3% in 2024. Henan's decline exceeded 30%, and Shandong and Guangdong hit historic lows. In the past, local governments depended on land sales for nearly half their fiscal revenue, but with the property market collapse, land sales have stalled and revenues have dried up. More shockingly, Zhengzhou's Erqi district government has been listed as a defaulter due to debt. Even its legal representatives are restricted from traveling by high-speed rail or airplane. If the government itself owes money, how could it pay wages? Data from China's Ministry of Finance in January 2025 shows local government debt nationwide has exceeded 40 trillion yuan. According to Southern Weekly, over 80% of county-level governments had fiscal self-sufficiency rates below 50% in 2024, relying heavily on central government transfers. But the central government is also struggling to sustain itself. Ministry of Finance data further reveals that fiscal revenue grew by only 1.3% in 2024, while expenditures rose 5.4%. Deficits grow larger, and local government debts keep compounding. Provinces like Guizhou and Yunnan have long been trapped in a vicious cycle of borrowing. In this context, wage arrears become inevitable. On May 9th, a netizen from Sichuan exposed on social media that some local governments have recently resorted to borrowing money to pay salaries. The Grassroots unit involved had to temporarily rely on borrowed funds to cover payroll. Although the netizen did not disclose the amounts or loan sources, this triggered wide resonance among public sector workers. One commenter said, "Here, salaries are also delayed and paid in batches. The finances can no longer hold." Reports indicate that since late 2024 in Kunming, Yunnan, some district-level government units have failed to fully pay salaries and year-end bonuses for 3 months, with almost all subsidies and overtime pay cancelled. A hospital in Jiaotong even demanded doctors repay performance bonuses and night shift pay from the past 5 years. According to Article 50 of China's labor law, employers must not delay wages without cause, but this law has become effectively meaningless within the system. When governments start borrowing to pay salaries and fiscal deficits suffocate grassroots units, the severity of this crisis far exceeds public imagination. Once, working within the CCP system was a dream job for many Chinese, stable, secure, and respectable. But by 2025, this iron rice bowl has completely rusted. A blogger from Kaifeng, Henan, analyzed the current situation in China's public sector. She said, "Here's a truth you might not fully understand. As of now, there are already over 8 million civil servants nationwide and over 40 million public institution employees with official posts. Including retirees who receive pensions, the total number of people inside the system exceeds 90 million. But the current situation is obvious to all. Local government debt pressure is huge. Budgets are tight. Can these 90 million people still be supported? Actually, the situation in Kaifeng is already quite bleak." The blogger shared that yesterday she helped a client working in a public institution apply for a loan. The client admitted that many places are facing tight finances. In better cases, performance bonuses have been cancelled. In worse cases, salaries have been delayed for several months. She clearly feels the demand for loans is rising. Working people have elders to support, children to raise, and mortgages and car loans to pay. Some don't understand finance well. They quietly take online loans, maxing out credit cards, and damage their credit. Fortunately, they still have housing provident loans, which barely help with cash flow. The blogger lamented that judging by the current situation, life inside the CCP system is actually no better than outside it. At the same time, economic slowdown has exposed another phenomenon. More children of senior CCP officials are entering the public system to grab stable jobs. According to the South China Morning Post, on May 6, as the economy slows and high-paying private sector jobs shrink, children of officials are flocking into government departments. This was uncommon during China's years of rapid economic growth. The report cited multiple insiders saying government agencies currently have officials working alongside colleagues with privileged backgrounds. This includes an adult child of a Politburo Standing Committee member, who recently joined an economic department as a deputy director responsible for daily management. Insiders say many departments have employees with privileged backgrounds, often graduates from prestigious overseas universities. The report said this shift may be due to CCP investigations into overseas relatives of senior officials. So-called naked officials, those with family abroad, or who have immigrated or transferred assets overseas, are taboo. Another reason is the decline in high-paying private sector jobs during the economic downturn. The long-running property crisis and high youth unemployment also burden the economy, while geopolitical tensions worsen the situation. Analysts say, on one hand, grassroots employees struggle to recover wages, while on the other hand, senior officials' children easily rise to high positions. This contrast is striking and disappointing.